The question is that the motion be agreed to. Andrew Little.
Mr Speaker, well, just when the nation and the agriculture sector was looking for an expression of confidence from this government, they put up that member to give the speech. The agriculture sector is terrified about what's happening because they know that this government abandoned them long ago. They couldn't care about the border security and biosecurity at the border. They couldn't care about looking after the farmers through the most difficult period. And they've got a minister who, like most of these ministers, has been asleep at the wheel for far too long. The reality is this country is facing some major economic headwinds, and the one thing the people of New Zealand are looking for is a government that demonstrates through its leadership that it understands what's happening, that it's realistic about what's happening, and that it has a plan of action to respond to it. And so far, on all three counts, New Zealand has heard nothing. Nothing from that government. Well, no, that's not quite true. There's one thing. Sell everything. Sell everything. The message has gone out from John Key and Bill English. We don't know what we're doing. We don't have a plan. We've got to pony up some more cash very quickly. Let's just put everything on the block. So it started with the state houses. And what an absolutely shambolic mess we are now in. The most vulnerable in our community, who for generations have looked to the state to provide them with a safe, warm, dry house, where we've had successive governments investing in our state houses to look after our most vulnerable. And what does this mob do? What does this mob do? Their only plan is to run them down and sell them off. Hundreds of houses sitting empty, boarded up, perfectly habitable, but they won't put anybody in them. And then claim that they don't have the right houses in the right place. Then they say they're going to flog them all off. Well, the problem with that little plan is they can't find a buyer. And so they've been trawling the world. Who's going to pick up these houses? Who's going to pick up these houses? And now they found Serco. Serco will do. They pick up every other mess the government's created. Why not give them this one? And that's what they've done. That's what they've done. They cannot find a buyer for those, but now they're trying to put other things on the block as well. And so what did the Minister of Finance do? Started talking down one of the most successful state businesses, Landcorp, that's got a strong balance sheet, diversifying, doing tremendous things in the agriculture sector. And what does the Minister of Finance do? Starts talking to the markets that maybe it's not all good. Maybe they have to look at it. Maybe they're going to manage it like they did Solid Energy and run it into the ground. Because if there's one thing about their track record that they've proved very successful at, it is running good businesses into the ground. They aren't the great financial and economic wizards that they've long claimed to be. They are a disgrace when it comes to economic management. It's hands off, sit back, let everybody else do the work, and when it turns to custard, blame the government of 8 years ago. That's their only plan. That's their only plan. The tragedy about it is this. With so many issues, so many serious issues facing our country, what we realise now is that we have a government with no moral compass. A government that just does not care about the most vulnerable. They don't care about the most vulnerable who look to the government to provide them with a warm, safe, dry house. And now it turns out they don't even care about those people, former wards of the state, young kids who were abused, beaten and treated horrifically as wards of the state, who are now making legitimate claims, and a minister who says one thing in the written answers to Parliament and another in the oral questions. How can you trust a minister like that? What is very clear, we have a government that doesn't care about the most vulnerable. The small number of people in our community who come to the government trying to get justice, trying to get fairness, and they just don't care. Well, it's time, Mr. Speaker, that we had a change. We don't need a government that repeatedly displays the sheer arrogance, the contempt that this government repeatedly does. Doesn't care about people, out of touch, arrogant, and with no plan on how to help people. Whether the most vulnerable, whether those looking to the government for a bit of leadership. They've stopped giving leadership. The support parties are no better, I might add. They sit over there smugly looking at us. They don't provide any better either. They had the chance. They had the chance to make sure that we had world-class health and safety laws. They blew it, and they've undermined confidence in it. Mr. Speaker, it's time for a change. The change is coming, and it's going to be better, and we will have a government that looks after people, that looks after all New Zealanders, and makes this a great place to live again.